First thing is let's go through the settings for the agenda. This is an interactive learning experience, which means your questions are extremely important. They do have to kind of relate to the day's topic. And I'm going to share some different kinds of things with you today, but make sure that those questions, if it requires any preparation, sometimes it's hard for me to illustrate something that's got significant amount of details into it, but we'll try to do that. If not, then what we always do is we try to carry that over to the next week's webinar. And I have some things from last week that I'm going to share this week, and not from last week because I haven't been on for 3 weeks, but that I will be sharing with you that came from the from the previous webinar. So we try to do that. We want to strive for mastery. I'm going to share some important things with you about that, and we'll be sharing some things with you about mastery this morning. And I always talk about the why. The why is really important. If all you know is how, then you have to have somebody show you how all the time. But if you understand why, then things get really easy from that point on. And so we talk about the why a lot. And I can't emphasize that enough because it's just really important that we understand why we do certain things, because that's the key. That's the problem solving skill that people will pay you for. Number 4, support and encourage each other. Make this positive, encouraging, both here and in the group, so that we keep things on a very positive, upbeat kind of a thing. I've discovered that people, when the first words out of their mouth is "I'm frustrated," it's really difficult to teach them from that point on, because they've started out in a negative arena. They've started out with they're convinced they can't fix this. And instead of looking at it, trying to find the answers are always contained in the problem. Always. The answer is always there. You just haven't asked the right questions yet. But when you say frustrated, you shut down and you make it impossible to get past that. So let's be supportive and encouraging to each other. And then most of all, let's just make this fun. Okay? Does that sound cool to everybody? That's my cue to take a drink so that I don't get this tickle in my throat. And I've tried a little bit of everything in order to get well. I've had many of you have sent me notes and suggested things, but this was my final act. I decided that my grandson, I need to spend a little time with him, and he came to help me get better. So I just wanted to share that with you today, because I like to share pictures of my grandson with you. But he decided that Rudolph nose would really make me feel better, and he put that on. Papa, this will help you. Okay, whatever you say, Tyson, that'll be cool. So I just want to share that with you today. Then I have some things that were part of the agenda from the week that I couldn't be on. And so I want to share those today. I love this. Somebody had posted this someplace, and I don't know where. I would love to be able to give them credit for that. But I do want you to, I want you to see this, particularly the first 2 things here from the amazing Mark Cuban. And Mark Cuban has a fascinating story. If you don't know his early story, then you don't really know Mark Cuban. You see him sitting on the sidelines of the basketball games and see him on Shark Tank and those kinds of places. But there was once a time when he was a barefoot college student that borrowed a laptop and created an amazing company. So really interesting, great inspiration, business tips from a billionaire. Let's take a look just at the first 2. You can take a look at the rest of those at another time. One thing that we can all control is effort. That's what I tell you all the time. Put in the time to become an expert at whatever you're doing. It will give you an advantage, because most people won't do this. And that is so true. Most people won't take the time, effort, and energy to become an expert at anything. And the reason why we focus so much attention on the why rather than just the how is because the why is what makes you an expert. The why is the thing that changes life for everyone. It gives you the advantage that other people don't have. Number 2, it's not money or connections. It's the willingness to outwork and outlearn everyone. The willingness to outwork and outlearn everyone. If you're willing to put in the time, I read a comment this morning on another group that I'm involved in, and the guy wanted this and this and this, and he wanted this really elaborate kind of a sorting kind of a sort of a thing. And somebody said, well, you can do that. It's really easy. All you have to do is create multiple layers to accomplish that, and blah, blah, blah. He said, that's too much work. Well, wait a minute. If you want something elaborate and detailed so that you can whiz bang your customers, then you're going to have to put some effort into it. Be willing to outwork and outlearn everyone else. And the funny part of it is there was about 6 of us who could tell him instantly how to fix the problem, but he didn't want to put in the work. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then nobody should ever pay you. Does that make sense to everybody? You have to do the work. Exactly. All right. Love Mark Cuban. Think these things are just amazing. I love these 7 tips from Mark Cuban this morning. So I wanted to share those with you. Had a whole bunch of stuff that was going on in the group. We've had some new things, but Williams joined us a few weeks ago, and he immediately shared some things, and I thought this was just really, really cool. He's got some pretty fascinating work that he's done, and so he shared that with us, and he was pretty excited. This is what I love about his comment. Do you see the last 4 words? The possibilities are endless. I've been saying that forever. The possibilities are endless. You don't have limitations. You just have things that you need to learn, and maybe you haven't learned them yet. It's not impossible. You can find a way to do everything that you want to do using the tool that you haven't used on. And I've showed you all kinds of ways to do things. And William jumps in the group and he goes, let me share with you some things that I've done. And I thought, how cool is that? Exactly, Terry. We create our own limitations. And I had a couple of these, so I wanted to make sure that I shared them with you. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. I wanted, if I could blow these up, I'd show you, but this is pretty cool. I love these big numbers. Big numbers are right now a trending thing in design. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but these are kind of trending in design, and so they're really cool. If you can find a way to incorporate those big numbers into the things that you're doing, see this number 13 right here. If you can incorporate those big numbers into what you're doing, it's an attention getting. It's kind of trendy right now. So I'd highly encourage you to look at the ways that you might be able to do that, okay? I've lost your comment there, Kersey. All right, L. I'm sorry. I have another friend whose name's Kersey, so I apologize for that. Let's see. Ray did a great little video here. Ray did a great little video right here of his offers, and I thought that was really cool. And I liked something here that I thought was really, really good. Ray has used two very trending colors right now. The background color there that has my screen disappeared on y'all again? Nope, looks like I still have it. If anybody's having a problem, let me know, okay? Let me get this over here so I can see everybody's comments again. All right, good. These are really good, and this is a great color combination. This pastel, whatever color that is. I'm blue-green colorblind, so that kind of catches me off guard once in a while. But whatever color this pastel color is right here, it is a great, very trending color right now. And so just keep that in mind. I love the use of the font here. This is a great font. And the gold color on top of that blue-green is really nice. It's really nice. Good job, Ray. Good job of being able to put that together in a video so you can make a presentation with that. And again, another very trending thing is these oversized fonts and the use of, here we got the use of white space, which is amazing. And then over here we have the use of these same colors flip-flopped, and I really like that. This is an example of really, really good design that is very relevant, very current, and works really well in today's world. So great job with that, Ray. Really appreciate that. Reminded me of I need to make better use of those colors again. So I appreciate that. This is the reason why these things become so important to us. The reason why the group becomes so important to us is because somebody will do something, you go, wow, I hadn't thought about doing that. And this was something as simple as being able to take these two colors and put them together. And I totally agree. Ray always does fantastic stuff, but and so I shouldn't be surprised when that happens. But I do think that this is really good, and it reminded me again of how key those two colors are together. And using the little outline around the letters and the shadow that he put on there, fantastic. Just a fantastic job. So great example to us, Ray. And thank you for sharing that in the group, because I think that really helps all of us to be reminded of things that work well together. The next one was Elle had a whole bunch of things that she had laid down here too. And I think Elle had a little episode of not feeling well as well. And so her work didn't move forward real fast either. So, but this is a good example, and she put hers together in a video so you could see all of the different pages that she's doing on her TV channel. So this is a really good promotion as well, Elle. Thank you. Great job. Again, very clean, very neat, very nice. I like these big bold pieces right here. You can see these. I like the big boldness now. And again, take the things that are trending really well, like TEDx. You can see the TEDx down at the bottom. TEDx is another one of those things that is a great example. You know, it's three big bold letters and then an X, and it's like these things work well together. So find ways to make that happen. Okay. The next one, I really enjoyed Jean's little thing here that says it's not over till the fat lady sings. It's a great example here of how he used the fonts to lay that out as well. So good job, Jean. I appreciate that. And when I read this and it said the fat lady, it's not over till the fat lady sings, but I think she's nursing a bad cold. I was nursing a bad cold at that time. And it caused me not to be able to not sing, but not even speak. So yeah, it was really good. It's interesting because I shared with you all a few weeks ago the channel that we had, or the Facebook page that we had in Butte, Montana. We still run that. It's called Experience Butte. And we had 3 posts a couple of weeks ago that were about weather. For some reason, the people in Montana, while they say they don't pay attention to the weather, the most trending posts that they ever have are about the weather. And that those 3 posts about the weather got over 145,000 engagements. I was shocked at how much engagement that we got. So again, weather is always a trending thing, and being able to take it and take advantage of it like this was really cool. So great job. This is an older one from Jerry Lynn, who is not, I haven't seen Jerry Lynn on today. So, but this was an older piece that she had done as well. So thank you, Sharon. Appreciate that. Yeah, Jean did a great job with the color combination here too. I really like that. Made it stand out really well. So good job on all of that. Now, I saw this was one of the last webinars that I did was on this fade technique. And I saw some great examples of this. And I mean, great examples of it. And y'all did a great job with taking that fade technique and putting it together. And I had a couple of those that I wanted to share with you. This was a really, really interesting twist on that fade technique. This one was using the dark, which works really well. And I loved the coffee color of the font. That worked well as also. This is another really good example of the blue and the white. And that worked really well as well. So great job, Tammy. Really good job on this one. Dwayne, I appreciate both of you for sharing that with us after last webinar. So pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool stuff. I'm really glad to see you take that and immediately put it to work. And because if you do that, if you take the things that we share and we do and we practice and we learn and I don't give you, great detailed steps. Try to give you the why you do these things and some of the how, a little bit of the how. I realized that we got in pretty deep water the last time on this fade technique, where I actually took the primary image and made multiple layers of it so that we could slide colors between them. That was a little more advanced than I normally do, but it was kind of fun to do that, just to see to stretch your limits. And it was just an idea I had while we were live. So it's kind of fun to do those once in a while, and I enjoy that. So again, this is a way you can take a stock photo and make something amazing out of it, right? Now, one of the things that could have been done here is that there could have been a filter put over the top of it. Could have been a filter put over the top of this, a cold blue filter that was real light. That would have been pretty cool too. So just a really, really good example though of that fade technique. And so you did a great job, Tammy. Good stuff. The replays are always available. We put them up in the group, Terry. Look in the group. I post them in the group. Try to post them in the group, usually within 24 hours of the time we do the webinar. Don't always get that done. Sometimes it has to do with how quickly Demio renders the video, makes it available. If it gets too late in the afternoon, I oftentimes I've got other things I have to get done, and so I don't have time to do that until the following week. But we try to get them done so that they're available at least by Monday. Leah just posted this just before we went live, and I wanted you to see this. This is a great video. I listened to this video. I barely had time to get it done before it was time for us to begin the webinar, but this is a really good video. Leah, I don't know if you're on. You're usually on with us, but this was valuable information. Now, I saw about, let's see, I marked them 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 or 5 things that I would really like to share with you how you can do those, because I think that they'll be helpful. I can take at least 5 of these 15 graphic designs and trending graphic designs and show you how to do those using Usign. You could do all of them, but all of them some of them require massive detail, too much to cover in a single webinar. But this is really a good video. Take the 15 minutes it takes to watch the video, and I promise you it'll be a good 15 minutes, particularly for looking forward to make sure that you have you're incorporating the right kinds of things into your graphic design. Now, Elle's going to ask about one of them immediately, and I have it written down, and I went, oh, Elle. And I actually have you in parentheses, L, because one of the things that's trending is metallics. I'm just going to say that, and I'm going to be done. I'm not going to say anything else, but one of those is metallics. Now, something that Usign is involved in right now, and that is a promotion for premium stock. And premium stock, the premium stock offer is and I've gone through these videos. There's 25,000 videos and images in this premium stock offer. We always need videos. We always need photographs that we have rights to, and making sure that we have those so that we don't get ourselves in trouble is really important. And I'm always showing you techniques to modify these, but if this is a copyrighted image, I don't care what you do to it, you're in trouble. Okay, don't put yourself out there with the possibility of getting you or one of your clients in trouble for using an image that you don't have permission to use. And that's the reason why these offers become extremely valuable. Now, the stuff that we use from Pixabay is going to be fine. These are indexed by the keywords, and you take them from the site, which I think is the best way to do that. I wasn't as impressed with the indexing of the keywords, but it's pretty good. I ran a few keywords through it to see how it would look, and most of them worked out well. I had a couple that didn't return a result that I thought should have returned the result, but for the most part, it worked pretty well. The best way to integrate that with Usign, Ray, is simply, it would be great if it was an API integration. It's not. the best way is just simply to grab the image that you want, let them store it, let them stock it, and you access that and just grab the image that you want. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. That's a really good response. I know that that's been something that they've talked about. I didn't want to mention it for that reason. Anytime you say that this is supposed to happen soon, people expect soon to be like at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And so I learned, I got burned enough times that I've decided I'm going to be more careful about saying that in the future. Yeah, the premium club seemed pretty good. I went through the 500 images there. I didn't go through all 500, obviously, but I went through and looked at the 500 images that were available there, and that one-time payment. Your total investment in this would be $115, and yeah, it would just. I think it's the one thing that we look for a lot are videos. We always need a little clip of a video, and I've shown you a couple of ways to use the videos. Gene's given us several examples of using videos, many of which he shot himself, but we're always looking for something that we can put text around the outside of and a video playing in the middle. And we showed you how to do that with some overlays. I've showed you how to do that. Gene's put some videos in the group showing you how to do that. And so it's a great way to do it. And there's a lot of videos in this offer. I don't know how many there are. There's over 500 videos. I believe there's over 500 videos in this offer that's here. And you know, they're not long, but they're videos that are usable. No, there's not a copyright issue with anything that's on the premium stock assets. You get commercial rights with that, with the purchase of premium stock. But again, with some of the techniques that we've talked about, you can take those stock images that are there and you can make them look amazing for the things that you want to do. And we've done several things. Think about all the things that we've done. And if I miss one, let me know. Where we have taken an element out of the photograph and then made the background all black and white and left the spot that we wanted to highlight, we left that color. And we, whatever you want to call that, doesn't really make any difference. But we had several people who did examples of that after we did that as a webinar 1 week. Another time, we took the images and we changed them by putting a filter over the top of them, and we just looked at what could happen with the filter. Last week, and then 1 week we spent time on just changing the background and making the opacity of the image different. And you can drastically change the image when you do that. And so we've been through several of those types of processes where you can actually take a stock image and make it look amazing, and nobody else will have something that will look just like that. And then the last one was to take that whole fade thing that we did and did with the fade. Some really cool images in that. I'm going to give you the links here in just a second. This is one of the I just took one picture. I totally agree with you, Stephen. I'm going to grab the links while I respond to Stephen here, and I'm going to share them with you. I totally agree with what Stephen's saying, that there's a lot of things that are available, and I agree. The videos are absolutely pure gold in this day and age that we live in. They're required in order for us to have, excuse me, to get the attention that we need to get. Grab this here while I'm thinking about it. They're essential to get the attention that we need. Here's the initial offer itself, and that gets you in the front page of that. Yes, that gets you in the front half of this. Yeah, I think the search is something that That's the reason why I say that you're probably better off to leave these right where they're at and use the search engine that's built into it rather than to download like 500 of them and then try to figure out how to find them. That's a common problem that people have, is that they feel like they've got all of these assets and they want to put them all in one pot. Well, once you do that, then you begin to create a problem. And I agree. It's all about working and designing smart, not trying to work harder. I found it a lot easier. Learned that from my dad a long time ago. I'd try to save stuff from a construction job, and he'd say, it takes me a lot less time to just go replace it than it did to try to find it. Sylvia, I agree. It is challenging to find good stock images for local business promotions. And this has some things that you'll find useful, has some things you won't find useful. Some of those are like downtown Vietnam, not necessarily going to work for everybody, but there are other things that will work. So you just keep that in mind. Yes, Tammy, you just upload that and use it at the time. I'll show you an example of that in just a second. I thought this was a beautiful picture of a peacock. There's been times when I've needed a picture of a peacock. This one just happened to catch my attention, but occasionally I need an example of a peacock. I can't even tell you why that comes up, but it does come up for me occasionally that I want to use a peacock. And so when I saw this peacock, I went, oh, cool. Peacocks are a little harder to get good. That's a good quality picture of a peacock. Okay. All right. I've given you the link to that. Does anybody have any other questions that I might be able to help you with? I'm not, it sounds like Steven's probably more informed about this product than I am, because I've kind of been out of the loop for a little while, but I know this promotion is running until Monday. So you want to make sure you check that out. Watch the video. The video is really good and gives you a good example. And the sales page has got great examples of the images that are on there. All right. Any other questions? Because I don't want to leave anybody out in the dark. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. For $67, you get a crap load of images and videos that can be extremely beneficial to you. And if you pay for 3 standard stock images from any place, you've about covered your cost of what it costs to get this premium stock photos, especially when you look at the video opportunity. All right, if there's no other questions, I'm going to move on, okay? But I think this will be helpful to you. And if you'll take the techniques that we've been teaching you over the last several months of ways you can modify images, I think you'll find some really, really cool opportunities, okay? Now, I want to talk about something that we got into just a little bit last time that we had a webinar. And when I open up the canvas, this is what we're going to focus a little attention on, is playing with some things that we can do that are kind of out of the ordinary. And one question that came up toward the end of last webinar was, can we do that in a gradient? And so I want to show you what you can do in a gradient. And we're going to spend a little time working on that, because what I did was I created a gradient like this, and I overlaid that gradient on here and reduced the opacity and got this. Okay, I just wanted you to see that showing through here. And then there's some things that we can do with that. And we'll play with that a little bit and have some fun with it. One of the things that I saw in that 15 design trends video was the fact that dark is trending really well right now. And I saw a number of dark videos in the premium stock offer. This happens to be one of them. I just grabbed it and pulled it in here. But you can do some awesome things by taking a dark video and adding a filter over the top of it. This is a dark video, and I added that vintage filter over the top of it and reduced the opacity of that vintage filter and got a really cool And I mean that cool, not in the, this is awesome, but cool in the fact that it is a cool color. Got this cool area right down here, which was pretty awesome. And so there's some cool things that you can do with that. We'll play with it just a little bit when I open up the canvas. All right, any questions so far? We'll get ready to move on. Show you a few tips and tricks as we do, and any questions that have come up. And we've had none this morning, so that I'm a little surprised. But give me a second here so I can change my screen. I got to figure out where I'm at. And as soon as I do, we'll be ready to move on. Okay. Now I've managed to successfully lose. There it is. My canvas, which is not what I wanted to do. All right, let's begin there. Bear with me for just a minute. I have managed to lose a tab, and I'll find it in just a second. There we go. I made that really small so it wouldn't be in the way. And then I couldn't find it. So give me a second to change my screen. And we'll be ready to go. All right, can you see my canvas now? All right, good. And I'm just going to play with this just a little bit because I want you to see what this was with nothing, okay? This is the original right here. And it has this blue area in it. So I want to see what can you do? What can I do to take just a simple, in this case, a dark element, a dark image, and what can I do with it by using a filter? And so I started to play with this. I can turn this just to grayscale. That's pretty obvious. This one was really interesting. And I really encourage you to do this every once in a while. Just take some color, just take some image, whatever it happens to be, and put it in here and figure out what you would have if you changed a filter over the top of it. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind if you're going to use a filter. One is that if I add something to this, the filter is going to be over the top of that. So if I take a text image and I put a text image in here, let me grab something that's yellow like this, okay? If I grab this in here and see how that's affecting my text right there. Just keep that in mind. If you're going to do that, what you might want to do is download the image filtered and then upload it again with the filter applied. Does that make sense to everybody? For some reason, it makes sense to me, but I don't know if that makes any sense now that I've said it out loud. Because if that way you capture you've changed the color of the image with the filter. All right. And some of these filters go different directions. Like this one is hot in the middle and it cools to the outside. This one has kind of a different layer look to it. So you save it first with the filter and then you upload. Okay. Yeah, if I want this on top of all of that and not to be affected by the filter, then the best way to do is download this first. By the way, I never I never use the filter at 100%. And that kind of eliminates the very issue that I'm talking about right here. See, you turn this down to this, notice how much different that looks than this. I like that at 20%, 30% down in here. And again, just do this every once in a while. Just take an image and look at how you can change the look of the image by changing the filter. And I'm a big fan of making that filter not be more subtle than it is. It comes out 100%, but if you reduce the opacity of the filter, it looks then it's a more subtle approach. Yeah, I agree with you, Melody. It depends on the effect that you're looking for. I don't like the overwhelming effect most of the time. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I want it. Like I really like this at 100%. Looks good there at 100%. But you notice when we get up into here, how that the filter's impacting the text. Do you see that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. Now I'm going to download this at full opacity. I'm going to let that download. And then I'm going to re-upload it. It keeps the text from popping off the screen. So let's get rid of the background now. Let's go back up here and turn the filter to original. And we'll upload the image that we just had. Give that a second to load. And now I have the image that had the filter applied to it. And when I take the text now, and I put over the top of it, see the difference that makes? Now the filter's not shading this part of the text right here. So if you want to put text on a filtered image, sometimes you're better off to download the filtered image and then upload it as a single image by itself. That makes sense to everybody? Okay, now let's go to the other thing that I showed you earlier that I wanted to talk about. We'll play with this a little bit more. This is the original image. Let's start at the beginning here. Okay, I took over here. And see, that's the image I brought over the top of it. I took this as a background. Now, I could have easily taken an image from my integrations. And I'm going to grab a random image here. Okay. That's about as random as you can get. I'll make that my background. All right, now I go over here to my uploads. I had saved this. I had saved this image. Now that's a reduced opacity. I'd saved that image like this. Okay, so that was my gradient. I'd taken a gradient, just made a gradient screen, took the gradient and downloaded it, and then I uploaded it back up. Because there's not a way to create a gradient square. So what I did was I made a gradient rectangle in this particular case because I was going to use this Facebook ad medium size for everything I was going to do today. So it was easy to do that. So I took that, I uploaded it, I I downloaded it as an image, and then I uploaded it so that I could have it here, and now I can reduce the opacity of it. I can't reduce the opacity on a background. Does that make sense? Not a background over here. When I'm here, I can't reduce the opacity of this. So I downloaded it like that. Is everybody with me? I downloaded it. Now I've uploaded it and I've overlaid it. It has basically the same effect as a filter, but it's gradient. That makes sense to everybody? Let's see, that's what the original looked like. And sometimes you're going to want to do this. Sometimes you want things to be a little subtle in the background. If I want this to be a subtle background, then I've got to be careful how I do that. And I can take this and I can actually blur that background a little bit. Put this back over the top of it. And I've drastically changed the look of that image. Richard, they're everywhere. Somebody just posted the link a minute ago to the replays of the videos, and so it's here someplace. If whoever posted, I think it was Gemma that posted it. If you wouldn't mind posting it again for Richard's benefit, I think that would be helpful to him. Okay. But do you see how I've drastically changed how this looks? Let me get rid of this. I've drastically changed this original look here by simply putting it slightly out of focus. Oh, I'm sorry. Gene, Pete, does somebody have the replay link that you could share with Richard, please? Jim, I'm sorry. I saw you posted a link. I wasn't sure what it was. So thank you. But because I can't actually, I can create this as the background. All right. I can put this background on. And see, this is the background here. But unless I reduce the opacity of this, and again, I have the option to do that. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate that. Now, do you see how I did that? I reduced the opacity of this with the gradient background on. And I want to ask you something here. Let's just take a look at something for a minute. I'm going to put a black on this. Now, you see how that looks? Keep this in mind. Always keep this in mind. That if I do that, all right, if I increase the, because this is this image with the opacity reduced in the background showing through. If I put this back at 100%, see what happens to my lettering? And what did I have to do in order to make this work? I just reduced the opacity of this original image. Now, honestly, what's going to be the most important part? Somebody help me with this one. What's going to be the most important part? This would obviously be like an ad text of some kind over here. Let's make that up. very subtle, add text. The text is the most important part. This is really the important part. This is the message I want to get across. I'm not selling this flower. I'm using that for attention. I want to make the text as visible as possible. And so I've got a couple of options of being able to do that. One would be to put this on top of a gradient background and reduce the opacity of it. And then that makes this stand out a little bit better, right? Because if I have this at 100%, I lose it. But by doing that, I get it back. The other option that I have is I make that 100%. And then I take the this overlay that I had created. Oops. Take this overlay I had created here, and then I move it back one. And then I reduce the opacity of this like that. Now, how's that look? Because the goal is I want to make the text visible. And there's a couple of ways to do that. I've got options of doing that. But if you can't read this text, then it's not going to help me at all. So I need to find ways to make that text visible. And one of the easy ways to make that text visible was with this little trick I just did right here. Okay. All right, make that text very visible. And I can reduce the opacity of that overlay quite a bit and still accomplish that, right? I can also, as Ray just said, I could also shadow and outline. And I can do that. I could put a border around the outside of this, and we can make that border like that. That makes a big difference, right? Oh, sorry. Get rid of that. And see, that helps. That's one way to do that. There's another way I can do that. I can add a shadow to it. Right? Not going to accomplish quite the same thing, but it's going to be fairly close. If I reduce the opacity of this image right here, just a little bit, then it makes a big difference, right? What else can I do? Yes, we did the text border just a minute ago. You can do the text border. There's actually some cool things you can do with the text border, by the way. Let's play with that for just a moment. Let's make that text border. This time we're going to make it black, and we're going to no-fill it. How's that? And I can make that like that. And sometimes that works really well. That's another good idea. Gene said, what if you duplicate that? So let's duplicate that. And let's make the text here, instead of black, let's make it white. Oh, I got my border. That's a border, not a, oops. Now I can give that kind of a 3D effect like that. I can totally change that by doing it like that, right? Lots of cool things that you can do with that. Gene said one more black one. Let's try that. Okay, let's duplicate this. So there's lots of ways that you can do that. And you can accomplish some pretty cool things. One of the trending designs is, and this is one of the things I was going to share with you next week, and you share it now, is these unusual looks, these geometrical looks, and let's see. Who has it? Melody said, looks like it's carved in. This looks like it's carved in or standing out. And it depends on how you're looking at it. And again, I've got 3 different layers here. Okay. And I can add a shadow to each one of those layers and accomplish something different. Now I'm really making it look different. Do you understand what I'm saying? Pull that one off. Go to this one and add a shadow to it. And in this case, I'm going to change the color of the shadow. And I'm going to put them right on top of each other. But now how does it look? I'm trying not to lose my whites, what I'm trying not to do. But now that has almost a metallic look to it right there, right? And again, you'd have to play with your shadows some to see how it looks, but this literally looks like it's carved on top of it. Thought that's what I had. I thought I had the, oh, I got them turned around. I'm sorry. I need to move that one to the back. Now we can do this like that. I have a little too much right here. Move this one over just a little bit. There we go. And again, you can see how just playing with that a little bit, you can get some dimension to your lettering, right? And again, I've no-filled these letters, so I'm taking advantage of the background. In this image now, if I change the opacity of this, I've really done something to this, right? Now let's go back over here and grab this and move this. Back like that. And then reduce the opacity of that. And can you see the effect that you get with that? I could have been really a little bit more creative here and take this color right here. Let's do this. And we'll make it that right there. Oh, oops. Sorry. I'm going to take this one right here because it's the border. Forgot that it was the border. Let's do this. But you can get all kinds of effects with that just by layering your images on top of each other, even your lettering on top of each other. This is a fun technique. We've done this a couple of times, and it has some really interesting, impacts if you want to do this. Now, I'm looking at this one direction. I'm looking in this area right here. It looks like it's carved in. I'm looking at it over here. It looks like it's standing out. You get some interesting effects with that, which is kind of the intention, right? That's a really good idea, Stephen. We talk about Pinterest every once in a while, and the fact that you need to go there for an education because it's a very, very visual platform. And so you can get some great ideas from that visual platform. One thing that's been asked here by Francis real quick, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to have time to do this, but give me just a second. Let me do something here, and I'll see if it's at all possible. Again, one of those things that comes up at the very end, and I'm trying to find a way to see if I can make something happen very fast. How's that for a glow effect, by the way? That was totally unintended. Elle, how's that look for your metallic glow effect? Yeah, that was kind of a happy mistake. A lot of times you have that happen, you know. In the words of my favorite, my inspiration, Bob Ross, he said, "There's no such thing as mistakes, just happy accidents," and I kind of like that. I kind of like that effect. And so there's kind of cool little things you can do with that. But the question was asked about putting a red image on here. So give me just a second. Let me throw a red image on here just quickly. And so I've got this black. If I take this red, and the question is this going to stand out? And there's actually things I can do to this that are going to help, okay? As we rapidly run out of time here. But by putting a shadow on this, and I can put a red shadow on it, then I can make it look like it's going to stand out. Like that. Yeah, I kind of like this, the glow that's going on over here. It's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting effect I hadn't really expected. So, and this, I agree, El. This goes well with that dark trending kind of a thing. You know, this is pretty cool. It has some pretty cool capabilities. So yeah. Again, I can duplicate this. Wait a minute. There we go. I can duplicate that and offset it just a little bit. And you can start to get with the shadow and all of that. But we've run out of time, so we're going to have to quit this morning. But I was glad I was able to get all the way through the hour because I was trying to make sure that this is the first time I've talked for an hour. So it's good to be back. It's good to have you all with us today. I'm going to be back here next week, same time, same place, same everything. And I will look forward to seeing you then. Okay? Have a great weekend.